I am Mpho. Now, a recent report by the statistician-general on the unemployment rate shows that South Africa is far from reaching the turning point where it will create jobs instead of shedding them year after year. The country is fast approaching an unemployment rate of 30%, implying that there will soon be more than 12 million working-age South Africans wandering the streets looking for jobs. To expand on this discussion, I'm joined now by Sunday Times columnist Antony Mkhwanazi. Antony, a very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us. You have been speaking about the current financial status of the country and also saying that government is essentially sleeping on the possibility of broadening and expanding the jobs in South Africa by taking advantage of the cannabis industry. Just explain that to us a bit further.
Good morning to our viewers. Yes, the country is currently facing an economic crisis. The unemployment level is sitting at around 29.1% as we speak, which implies that indeed over 10 million South Africans working age, who are in the working age population, are currently wandering the street looking for jobs. Yes, there are possibilities, particularly that comes through the cannabis industry, which is vibrant, which is for us as South Africans to take advantage of.
Now, with the bleak picture of South Africa's finances and the number of young people who are unemployed in this country, there was a new regulation passed on the use of cannabis, and perhaps there could be a misunderstanding on how far one can take this and explore it and now launch some sort of a business around the cannabis industry. What are the opportunities? And in terms of legislation, what do we know so far?
In terms of legislation, what SAPRA, the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority, what they have done up to now, they've issued 5 licenses, medical licenses, to companies who are ready to launch themselves into the medical cannabis space. However, we know that in broad terms, outside on cannabis-based products is in broad terms still illegal.
So, issuing these licenses, I know that you've highlighted that only one of the 5 medical cannabis licenses issued are held by a black-owned company. What are the stringent measures that are in place? So perhaps talking about the challenges, why are the numbers looking like this?
Yeah, yes, there's a company by the name House of Hemp, which is one of the companies that has been issued with a SAPRA license. They are black-owned and they're currently stationed at the Dubai Trade Port down in KwaZulu-Natal. However, they are faced with, particularly when it comes to funds, the capital that is required. The license comes with very stringent requirements, which requires them to do modifications on the facility that they are stationed at currently. The government is, unfortunately, as it stands, not coming to the party to assist, particularly when it comes to financial support for them to kick off.
You say that government's not coming to the party, yet we know also that South Africa is said to be supplying 27% of the world dacha demand illegally. Yet there's a window of opportunity here for this to all be legalized, allowing young people to enter into the cannabis industry and explore different business initiatives. I know also that the Cannabis Expo is coming up and you see innovative products that are being launched there. How best can young people in South Africa take advantage of this industry and begin to generate some money that will essentially, show that the country is doing better in terms of its finances?
Yes, first and foremost, the government really need to fast-track the cannabis industry. We are aware of many different products. I mean, cannabis in itself can produce up to 25,000, if not more, different type of products which cut across the various sectors of the economy. If you look at agricultural sector, for example, you're talking of job creation opportunities. You're talking of each hectare can potentially produce seven jobs. So if you, I mean, currently we know that even the Department of Agriculture, through the ARC, they have done some work to figure out or to determine the various arable land in the country that can be used to cultivate cannabis. And currently it's over 10,000 hectares that is suitable in the country for cannabis. If you do the numbers, you will see that the potential for job creation is massive.
And I know you've been doing extensive research on this topic, and just speaking about legislation, you've already really highlighted some of the important factors there for one to know when it comes to legislation. When it comes to an official government program, you know, are we seeing any movement in that regard when it comes to, you know, ensuring that there is sort of a framework for people to enter this market?
Yeah, the answer is yes or no. We have seen recently, we have interacted recently as DSO Industrialization Consulting with IDC, talking to them on a possibility of them assisting particularly House of Hemp to take off. In principle, they are keen to look at the opportunity, but it's very clear that the discussion is happening at very low level. We don't see at high level, at cabinet level, at parliamentary level, we don't see much coming out as, you know, official program that will ensure that the industry gets the necessary support needed for it to take off.
Now, what do you think are some of the misconceptions that could be standing in the way here when it comes to cannabis?
I must say, particularly in South Africa, when you talk cannabis, people think dagga. You'll probably see that in my article as well, there was a mention of dagga, but the reality is there's a difference between dagga and hemp, for example.
Yes.
You know, there's a stigma on dagga. You know, we are aware that there's side effects when people smoke dagga, for example. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that has created a stigma which is a negative, with a negative impact on the industry itself. But if you look at hemp, which is one of the species under the cannabis sativa group of plants, cannabis has the compounds that are in hemp, for example, have no psychoactive effects. But there's a lot that needs to be done in terms of educating our public, and hence it's important that government begins to strategically come up with a formal program that will look into all the aspects that are necessary, part of which is to educate our people so that people can have the right attitude on the industry.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing some of your research there. Sunday Times columnist Antony Mkhwanazi saying that new industries are possible when it comes to ensuring that the cannabis industry is a place of opportunity for young people in the country, and of course just looking at the finances that have been unveiled by government officials, the unemployment rate saying that there is room for improvement and perhaps making an impact when it comes to exploring the cannabis industry.